Unstoppable is back and ready to bring you all things GW Sports. I'm Casey Decker here with Sean Grant. And Sean, what do we have in store today?
Well, Casey, along with a rundown of current fall sports, our own Colleen Fitzgerald got to talk to members of men's swimming and diving. Rudy Venkatason sat down with soccer player Garrett Hine. And Miranda DiBiasio of women's cross country will be joining us here in studio. All of this on Unstoppable.
From the School of Media and Public Affairs at the George Washington University, you're watching Unstoppable with Casey Decker and Sean Grant.
We're going to start things off with the GW program that right now could make a strong case for being the best on campus, and by that I mean men's water polo. Right now they are ranked number 14 in the nation, tied for the highest standing in program history. They are 9-5 on the season and 5-1 in conference play. Now, you might be thinking 9-5, that sounds pretty average. Why are they so highly ranked? The answer is that this team knows how to come through in big games. They have wins against 15th ranked Air Force and most recently, the number 9 team in the country, Bucknell.
Yeah, Casey, that was a very impressive win. Very closely contested. 10-9 was the final score. And actually, Noah McKinney-Braun scored the winning goal with only 3 seconds left to play. But along with that, you had other great performances. Bogdan Pektovic had 4 goals, 2 assists, and freshman Adikan Desteki continues to lead the team. He had 2 goals in that game. You know, that's something we've seen consistently across the entire season. Very impressive win for them.
You mentioned Noah McKinney-Braun. He's not one of their scoring leaders, but he is leading the team in one other critical area, and that is shot percentage. His current shot percentage right now is 47.6%. That's pretty impressive. If he gets the ball, it seems like he scores a lot. You also mentioned Desteki and Petkovic. Them alongside Pierce Deemer, the 3 of them have combined for exactly 100 goals and 56 assists so far this season.
That's certainly impressive. That's a great offensive output. But going along with that, their goalie, Matt Taylor, has a 52% save percentage. So, you know, you combine those 2 aspects together, they're going to get you those big wins against ranked opponents.
As you mentioned, ranked opponents, this team has had a tough schedule. Despite that, though, they've continued to win. They've played multiple ranked opponents, almost always on the road. Speaking of that, they've only had 3 home matches all season and only have 2 more remaining in their schedule. They got a tough schedule, but they're performing. Yeah. And that's why they're ranked 14th in the nation right now.
And let's hope that we get to continue to see impressive wins like the Bucknell win, going forward. But now, moving on to women's volleyball, where the women have not played well in their recent stretch of games. Before winning their last game against George Mason 3-2, they have dropped their previous 7 matches, leading to a 7-14 record overall and a 1-6 record in conference. One of the most difficult losses during that stretch came against VCU, where the Colonials lost 3-0 on October 9th.
Obviously, this has been an incredibly disappointing season, especially after they really played quite strongly last year, but we're seeing the same problems down the stretch that we saw at the beginning of the season. That's pretty frustrating.
And it's definitely very frustrating. When you look at that VCU game, we've talked before about a drop-off in competition and where does that come in. I mean, in that VCU game, they lost the first set 25-16, the second set 25-12, and the third set 25-20. So, when you lose 3-0 and those are the scores, it just hasn't been very competitive so far.
And as you mentioned, they went on a pretty big losing streak. They went almost a month without winning a game. That's pretty unfortunate for morale. Another thing that can't help is that, as we talked about in the first show, they don't have a lot of home games. Although still, the games they've had at home, they haven't managed to win. They're still winless at home. They've got to improve there. They have a big clump of home games coming up. Those are must-wins for morale.
Well, and hopefully the team can figure something out, going forward. Make some necessary improvements, salvage some of those wins, especially in conference. Maybe the win against George Mason can spark that, but we'll have to wait and see.
And wait and see we will, Sean. In the meantime, let's take a look over at women's soccer. The team has continued their winning ways since the beginning of the season. They recovered from a 4-game losing streak and have not lost in the month of October. Their most recent win was a nail-biting 1-0 victory over VCU in extra time that sent their record to 9-4-1 overall and their conference record to 3-1-1.
Yeah, Casey, that's another very, very close game. The hero of that game was actually redshirt freshman Megan McCormick, and she scored the goal in overtime to get the victory for the Colonials. But I think this game also kind of takes us back to some of the other points that we've seen in previous games from them, and also bringing up some new developments. Obviously something we've talked about before was goalie Miranda Horn. She has just been spectacular this entire season. Has a handful of shutouts to her name already. The VCU game, just another example of that. Coupling that with a strong defense, they've just been playing very well so far.
Absolutely. Miranda Horn, best goalie in the conference. I think that's undisputed at this point. Another thing that you mentioned, someone other than Mackenzie Cowley is stepping up to the plate on offense. Right. That's good to hear. Getting that development behind her, getting other people to score, finding more ways to score. That's critical, and they're doing that. This is a really good team.
No, and I mentioned briefly the defense, but I also like to mention, the defense has not been getting as tired as the games have gone on, and especially if you're in competitive games like against VCU, you're going into overtime, but your defense is still supporting your goalie and giving you that shutout into overtime. Again, very impressive.
This is a good team with the leaders they have on offense and the goalkeeper and Horn. This will be a very difficult team to compete against moving forward.
Yeah. Well, I definitely agree with those points you just made, Casey. But now moving on to men's soccer, where the team has played decently well as of late. I say only decently because they continue to tie games, as they have 5 ties so far this season for a record of 7-3-5 overall. Quite remarkable, really. One of the toughest draws for the team was a 2-2 draw against VCU back on October 5th.
Sean, as you know, they were down late in that game, but they netted a real impressive equalizer in the 72nd minute. But that was it for them. They didn't go on to win.
Well, I think, though, this game, again, kind of goes to something that we talked about previously. I think it proves your point, Casey, that the offense just needs to score more early on in the games. Garrett Hine, leader of the team, he scored in the 10th minute of that game, so gave them an early advantage. But no one else really picked it up after that. They scored the equalizer later in the game. Good to have that one goal early in the game, but maybe if you had 2 to 3, that's going to be a different outcome. It's easier for your defense to pick you up if you have a 2-goal lead early in the game.
And when you're tying a lot of games like this, you really want to look for any advantage you can have. One area right now where they have a pretty big disadvantage is still, like we talked about before, penalties. Against VCU, they had 4. VCU only had 2. This is really an adjustment they need to make.
Right.
They need to gain those advantages. Small differences end up changing the outcomes of games.
Well, and something I think we should look for is Hine. We mention him quite frequently, leader of the team. He really should try and pick up some of the morale on the team. That's something that you got to communicate to your teammates and say, look, we got to cut off, if we cut out these penalties, the game's going to be a different story.
Another bright spot on the team, they don't shoot as much as their opponents, but they still score more than their opponents. They have a really terrific shot percentage. That's something that they can maybe center their team around, try to progress with that moving forward.
And now our own Rudy Van Katessen got to sit down with Garrett Hine.
Garrett Hine, a senior and captain of the GW men's soccer team, has had an impressive past couple weeks. He was recently named the Atlantic 10 Offensive Player of the Week, National Player of the Week by CollegeSoccerNews.com, and Division I College Player of the Week by the NSCAA for his great performance the week of October 16th. We had a chance to talk to Garrett about his recent accolades, leadership skills, and future plans after college.
Yeah, thank you. For me, the honors and awards, they're great, and I'm proud to have those awards. But for me, during the game, I was just focusing on winning those games. Those are crucial to our team's success and our season success, and the personal awards are great to have as well. But we hadn't really put ourselves in the best position at that point in the season. So our backs were against the wall, and the pressure was on, and I was extremely happy to produce in those pressure situations. Being a captain of the team is one of the things that I'm most proud of. The season is short and quick and in the fall, and yeah, you get a lot of awards for the couple of good games you have, but being a captain is something that is seen by your teammates throughout the whole year, in the spring, off the field. So I think that being a captain, I'm very proud of that. My leadership skills, I'd say I lead a lot by the way I play on the field. I bring a lot of intensity every day to practice, and I hope to hold the team to a high standard and expect a lot out of every guy. So hopefully that translates into success for the team. Soccer is one of the things I love in the world. I definitely will be around soccer, whether hopefully it's playing the next couple of years. If not, I see myself hopefully having a career in sports or somewhere in the growth of soccer in the game going forward.
We definitely expect to see more from Garrett in the future. For Unstoppable, I'm Vruti Venkatesan.
Thanks for that, Vruti. Now we're going to a short commercial break, but when we come back, we will continue our rundown with men's cross country.
Raise high. This isn't just our battle cry. It's our call, our challenge. Because when you are called to Washington, you are called to higher expectations, to a higher standard. We are called here to advance knowledge, to serve society, to change the world. This is the George Washington University, and what we make is history. So stand up, be bold, take risks, press on, push harder, raise high.
Jumping back in now with men's cross country, the team finished 10th out of 23 teams at the Princeton Invitational, the final regular season meet. Multiple runners set personal records at the event.
Well, and you know, Casey, Princeton was a really good showing for the men's team. Actually, their best performance in program history, with the entire top 7 runners finishing under 26 minutes for the 8K. You know, so very strong showing collectively as a team.
And that'll be a good sign for them with the A10 championships coming up here. One thing to look for in that tournament, Ryan DePinto has a good shot at placing in the top 15 and winning the attached all-conference designation with that race.
Well, and another thing I think we should mention is our own executive producer, Andy Weber, should be coming back. You know, he has a fractured toe, but he should be coming back after missing a couple meets, so something that will, you know, hopefully boost the morale of the team and then boost their overall performance as well.
That's right. I'm sure they'll be glad to have Andy back. When they're at the championship, by the way, GW is looking for a top 5 finish here. They've had a pretty good season so far. They're looking to end it on a good note.
Can't help but agree with you there, Casey. Now, moving on to women's cross country, the team finished 6th out of 22 teams at the Princeton Invitational, a very strong showing as well. Miranda DiBiasio finished 5th overall to lead the Colonials in the meet. As we said for the men's team, hopefully this strong performance at the end of the regular season will propel them in the postseason. Casey will sit down with DiBiasio in the studio. We'll have that interview for you later in the show.
And I'm looking forward to speaking with her, Sean. Now, though, we'll take a look at men's golf. They've still been unable to pick up their play this season. In their 3 most recent competitions, they placed 14 out of 14, 13 out of 17, and 12 out of 15. We are still seeing good performances from sophomore Logan Lowe. He was recently named A10 Golfer of the Week. But the rest of the team needs to step it up.
Well, and with only one invitational left in the fall, Casey, I'm sure the boys would love to gain some momentum heading into their offseason and into their spring season, but we'll see then if they're able to pick that up. Now, moving on to men's swimming and diving, where the team has struggled to start off their season, losing their first 2 meets. The Colonials dropped their first meet to Davidson and Queen's University back on October 1st. The men's team did not win a single event in the entire meet, really quite disappointing to see. The team then went on to lose their second meet to Ryder, but performed much better, qualifying 8 top finishers. And now our own Colleen Fitzgerald got an inside look at the men's team.
Hi, I'm Colleen Fitzgerald, reporting here at GW TV's Unstoppable. I'm at the Smith Center with the men's swimming team and will be speaking to junior Gustav Holkfeldt about how the team is doing so far this year.
One thing I like about this sport in particular is that it's like very, very work-oriented. The team is the most exciting part. It's like last year with swimmers like Andrea, who did swim the NCAA and did really well. He kind of stepped up a little bit, and having someone to do that much better than what the program is used to seeing made the entire team step up now. And the group of guys we have coming in, they're fast. But not only that, they're a great group of guys, and it's kind of like changing the dynamic of the team, which I can see already. We have a chance to do really, really well, and I'm very, very excited to see what we can do this year.
Thank you so much, Gustav. Again, this is Colleen reporting for GW TV's Unstoppable. Thanks. Back to you.
Thank you, Colleen. Now moving on to women's swimming and diving. They've been off to a strong start. At their first meet, they bested 2 out of 3 contenders, outperforming Davidson and UNC Asheville, though losing to Division II powerhouse Queen's University. And in their first home meet, they dominated Ryder. One special performance to note, in their first meet, freshman Jackie Torres won the 400 medley and posted the 9th best time in GW history. Several other swimmers have also bested personal records in both meets. Well,
and that's very impressive, Casey. You know, hopefully they can use some of that momentum going forward. But now we're going to go to a short commercial break. But stay tuned, because when we get back, Casey will get the chance to sit down with Miranda DiBiasio of women's cross country.
History isn't only what's happened. History is also what's happening. At the George Washington University, we're making history every day.
We pass legislation that shapes our lives, our culture, and our future.
We live the mantra, champions in the classroom, in the community, and in competition.
Which instills in us a determination to reach new heights.
We break new ground in the treatment of patients and the study of disease. and tackle the most important challenges in our society.
We form new relationships and grow as entrepreneurs.
And we imagine new ways to connect on a global scale.
As alumni, we make history by supporting students.
We create scholarships that make an exceptional education attainable.
We provide tools and facilities that allow new ideas to come alive.
And we enhance GW's academics by attracting world-renowned faculty.
And delivering career-launching opportunities.
I'm making history.
I'm making history.
I'm making history.
The George Washington University is making a difference. The George Washington University is making history. Join us.
Miranda DiBiasio has led the women's cross-country team all season long. She has program records for the 5K and 10K track events and has been A10 Performer of the Week 2 times. She joins me now. Miranda, give me your assessment of the season so far.
Well, so far I think our season's going really well. This past weekend we were at Princeton for the Invitational, and there were 22 teams, and the girls placed 5th out of 22, which I believe is our highest performance at that meet. So that was a really great meet to work off of, working into A10s. We've had a lot of individual performances that have just been well beyond where we thought we would be at this point. Lots of PRs and just really great performances throughout.
How has your season personally been going?
My season personally has been going really great. I'm very happy with where I am right now. I think that I'm exactly where I need to be able to perform how I want to come postseason, which is coming up this next week. So I'm very happy with how my performances have been.
You mentioned that a lot of other people on the team are setting personal records. Who are some of your other teammates you think are having particularly good seasons?
Well, we've actually, really across the board, I think we're having some great performances all around. Macaulay Porter has really been stepping it up. She's awesome. She's been our number 2. And she's had some really great PRs in the past 2 weeks. And then, we've got a lot of depth this season, which is great. I think that's something that as our program gets bigger, we're experiencing more girls that are coming in right around the same time, which helps us out a lot. So, we've got Ariana North, she's been up there, Madison Yerke, Hallie Brown, Suzanne, they're all finishing right around the same times, which helps a lot. So getting that depth, I think, has been a huge proponent of how we've been able to be successful.
Certainly. You've said in the past that you're hoping, coming into the A10 championships, that you guys can finish in the top 3. What steps is the team taking to get to that goal?
Well, we're just really working hard and focusing a lot on that team goal. I know sometimes it's a little tough because running can be a very individual sport. Mm-hmm. But I think because we know that we have the ability to do so well this season as a team, we've really just been coming back to the thought process of how we can do overall as a team and just really focusing in on what's it going to take to get us there as a team. And, every person counts when it comes to the A10. So I think everybody knows a little bit about who they should be racing against. And if they see a jersey where it's an A10 competitor, they know I have to get that person, and it's for my team, just really focusing in on that team goal.
So most recently, you nabbed a 5th place finish at the Princeton Invitational. The team as a whole took 6th. Could you take us through that race?
So that was actually, Princeton's a deceivingly tough course. I think that's why it's so awesome, too, that we had so many outstanding performances, because it is a tougher course. But it was really just a lot about going into it with a good mindset and just focusing on not necessarily being in the lead, but being with the lead pack. For me right now, it's all about familiarizing myself with my competitors. And I think that was a really good race for me as far as, I knew who the girls were going to be at the top coming into the race, and I knew where I needed to be. But overall, yeah, that performance I think was it was exactly where I wanted to be to set me up for this coming weekend.
What are some of your personal goals for the remainder of the season? What are you looking to achieve?
Well, last season I was able to get all conference at the A10 cross country championship, which was really awesome for me. That was totally unexpected, but it was great. But this season I'm really looking towards a top 5 or top 3 finish. I think that, you know, based off of my competitors within the A10, I think that I'm very capable of doing that, and that would be where I'd want to finish for A10 competition. As far as postseason goes, my ultimate goal is to make it to the NCAA cross country championship, which is after the regional meet. So that one's going to be definitely tough to get to, but I really think if I have my best performance at regionals, I think I can do it. So,
are you taking any special steps to prepare for that, to achieve that goal?
Just a lot of what I've been normally doing. You know, I think for me right now, it's all about staying in my routine, not necessarily doing anything more or anything less, just keeping and staying where I'm at. But yeah, working hard and definitely just never giving up. I think a lot of it is the mental aspect, and sometimes it's really easy to get caught up in your thoughts, but really I'm just trying to focus on believing in myself and, you know, seeing my past achievements and really working off of those.
Great. Well, we're going to go to commercial break now. Miranda DiBiasio, thank you so much for joining us, and good luck to you. When we come back, Andy Weber will tell us which upcoming games you can't miss. Stay tuned.
Over the fall semester, GW student-athletes have participated in over 4,800 hours of community service throughout the DC metro area. In a competition organized by Helper Helper, GW has completed more service hours than any other NCAA Division I or Division II institution. We are now in our final week. Follow GW Sports and Helper Helper app on Twitter to see the final rankings.
Welcome back to Unstoppable. Andy Weber joins us now here at the desk. Andy, what games should we be keeping an eye on in the upcoming weeks?
Hey guys, well, fall sports are starting to wrap up. My broken toe is all healed, and I'm ready to enjoy more Colonial sports. Women's soccer takes on URI at the Vern on October 27th at 3 p.m. One day later, volleyball plays LaSalle at 7 p.m. in the Smith Center. They then face Duquesne on the 29th at 7:30 p.m. Men and women's swimming race Howard on the 29th at 10 a.m. in the Smith Center pool. These next 2 weeks, fall sports will be entering postseason competition. So stick with us on Twitter for updates. Guys?
Thanks, Andy, so much. That's all we have for today. As always, remember to like GWTV on Facebook and follow the show on Twitter at GWTV Unstoppable. For all the Unstoppable crew, we'll see you next time.